Hey everyone, let me just say right off the bat, if you're here for perfect English or top tier editing, you're on the wrong channel. But if you're here for information, I can give you that. Also, a quick disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I hope you're smart enough to get that. If not, go play Roblox or I don't know, watch TikTok. So, here's how this video is gonna go. We'll start naturally with Elon Musk, because you need to know what a company's leadership is up to before you invest in it. What are their goals, their plans, and their business habits. Elon Musk is a man some call a genius, and others call a manipulator. He's not your average entrepreneur, he's a man who sells a dream. And for these dreams, investors, governments, and millions of people pay billions of dollars. Back in 2018, Musk tweeted that he planned to take Tesla private at $420 a share. Tesla stock surged by 11% in a single day, but nobody bought anything out. The US Securities and Exchange Commission launched an investigation. Musk paid a $20 million fine and was removed as the chairman of Tesla's board. That wasn't just a tweet, that was pure market manipulation. And there are dozens of episodes like this in Musk's biography. Look closely at Musk's history, and you'll see the exact same script playing out. First comes a loud promise. For example, we'll fly to Mars in 2024. Tesla robotaxis will arrive in 2020. Hyperloop will connect New York and Washington in 29 minutes. Then comes the delay, the disappointment, the endless discussions, and finally, a brand new, massive promise that makes everyone forget about the last one. A clear system begins to emerge, a system that allows him to attract billions of dollars for projects that might never actually happen. Musk has been caught in blatant exaggerations time and time again. In 2016, he stated that the Tesla Model S would be fully autonomous in 2 years. 10 years have passed. Tesla's autopilot still requires constant driver supervision and, by the way, has been the cause of several high-profile accidents. So a simple question arises. If Musk breaks his promises so often, why do people keep believing him? The answer is simple, because sometimes he actually does the impossible. Falcon 9 flies, Dragon docks with the ISS, Starlink works. Musk balances on the edge, masterfully using his popularity and connections. And it's exactly this uncertainty that allows him to raise billions. Investors think, what if he pulls it off again this time? And they hand over the money. Now, let's talk about something people don't really want to discuss. Musk's ties to the government and how those ties help SpaceX secure contracts. In total, SpaceX has received over $25 billion from the US government, from NASA around $15 billion, from the Pentagon about $10 billion, and those are just the direct contracts. There are also indirect ones, government subsidies for internet and military orders. The state's actual share in SpaceX's revenue is somewhere between 30 and 35%. And naturally, Musk doesn't just take government money, he actively influences politics. He meets with presidents, consults governments, and finances election campaigns. By 2025, Musk became one of the largest donors in public policy. His companies gained access to government contracts worth tens of billions of dollars. This is exactly where business and power work hand in hand. Military launches cost the Pentagon 1.5 to 2 times more than commercial ones. SpaceX explains this by citing special security requirements, dedicated infrastructure, and secrecy. A separate topic entirely is the environment. SpaceX built its Starbase launch site in Texas, right next to nature reserves. The company has faced regulatory backlash over its cooling and water discharge systems, as well as for launching without full environmental clearance. The FAA and environmental agencies have fined the company, but these fines are seriously tiny. Think about it. $50,000, $100,000. For a company this big, that's just pocket change. So what do we have here? This doesn't mean SpaceX is a bad company, or heaven forbid that Musk is a bad guy. It just means we need to dig a little deeper. Now, to be completely fair, we have to talk about the good stuff too. Because Elon Musk isn't just about scandals and broken promises. He did what no one else before him managed to do, and we have to acknowledge that. Before SpaceX, space launches were expensive, extremely expensive. A space shuttle launch cost $1.5 billion. An Atlas V rocket launch was $150 to $200 million. SpaceX dropped the price of a standard commercial launch down to $67 million, but is 2 to 3 times cheaper than most traditional competitors. Today, SpaceX launches more rockets than all other companies and countries in the world combined, around 150 launches a year. A rocket goes into space every 2 to 3 days. No company in history has ever done anything like this. In 2011, NASA shut down the Space Shuttle program, and the US lost its ability to send astronauts into space on its own. For nearly 10 years, Americans flew on Russian Soyuz spacecraft, paying up to $90 million per seat. In 2020, SpaceX brought crewed spaceflight back to the US. The Crew Dragon spacecraft, carrying astronauts, docked with the ISS. It was the first crewed flight by a private company in human history. A private company flying people into space. Can you even imagine that? Starlink is a massive commercial and military business. I hope everyone understands that. But there's another side to it. Starlink provides internet to millions of people in places that never had it before. Villages in Africa, islands in the Pacific Ocean, remote mountain regions. During the natural disasters, Starlink terminals are deployed in a matter of hours. It's a technology that genuinely helps people. And last but certainly not least, Musk has inspired millions of people around the world. Young engineers are going into aerospace. Students are choosing physics and math. SpaceX proved that a private company can do what was once only possible for global superpowers, and that changes everything. Now that I've shown you both sides, let's get back to SpaceX. And to the numbers. In 1995, Musk and his brother founded Zip2, and in 1999, they sold it to Compaq for $307 million. Musk walked away with around $22 million. A little later, he invested in X.com, a payment system that eventually became part of PayPal. In 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion. Musk received roughly $180 million. But here's what's interesting. Even back then, Musk was showing off his main talent, selling the future. At Zip2, he convinced investors the company was worth way more than its actual value. At PayPal, he promised a revolution in finance. And that revolution did happen, even if it wasn't exactly what was initially promised. Musk has always sold a vision of the future. The problem is, sometimes, that future arrived, and sometimes it didn't. In 2002, Musk invested $100 million into SpaceX. The idea was simple: make space cheaper. But there was also a second, much more ambitious idea: colonizing Mars. Musk stated this publicly, right from the very beginning. SpaceX was created to make humanity a multiplanetary species. Sounds awesome, right? But let's look at the history. The first Falcon 1 launch took place in 2006. The rocket exploded just 33 seconds after liftoff. The second launch in 2007, another crash. The third in 2008, another failure. 3 launches, 3 massive failures, tens of millions of dollars wasted. The company was on the brink of bankruptcy. By the end of 2008, SpaceX had spent almost all its money. Musk poured everything he had left from PayPal into the company. In his own words, he didn't even have enough money left for his personal living expenses. And then, the moment that decided the company's fate, the fourth launch of Falcon 1 on September 28, 2008, the rocket successfully reached orbit. SpaceX became the first private company in history to achieve this with a liquid propellant rocket. 3 months later, NASA signed a massive game-changing contract with SpaceX for $1.6 billion for delivery missions to the ISS, and that contract saved the company from complete collapse. SpaceX launches rockets every 2 to 3 days. This has given the company utter dominance in the market. In other words, the real share of government money in SpaceX is between 30 and 35%. This isn't a pure private business, it's a massive public-private partnership. By 2026, SpaceX has transformed into a giant telecommunications system. Starlink provides the bulk of its revenue. That segment is growing at over 50% a year. The operating margins are excellent. It is a real, functional, highly profitable business. But Starlink isn't just internet. The main clients are the military, airlines, and massive shipping corporations. And right now, it is Starlink that is effectively subsidizing Starship, a project that is absolutely burning for billions of dollars. Starship is the most ambitious engineering project in the history of private spaceflight, but from a purely financial perspective today, it's a huge expense. The capital expenditures are astronomical, and the project isn't bringing in any commercial revenue yet. Let's look at SpaceX's official numbers from their 10Q report for the second quarter of 2026. The company's revenue hit $7.8 billion. That's a 92% year-over-year growth, meaning it almost doubled. Adjusted EBITDA came in at $3.5 billion. But if we look at the net result under GAAP, the company took a net loss of $541 million. It all comes down to their massive capital expenditures. In just one single quarter, SpaceX spent $18.4 billion on capex, and the vast majority of that went into AI infrastructure, computing power, and launch complexes. Because of these colossal expenses, the company's free cash flow for the first half of the year went deep into the red, negative $25 billion. Now, regarding the valuation, SpaceX valuation is currently sitting somewhere between 1.6 and $2 trillion. If you compare a market cap like that to an annual revenue of around 30 billion, you get a price to sales multiplier, or P/S ratio, of over 50 to 60. For comparison, Apple's ratio is around 8, Microsoft's is about 12, and even Nvidia's is around 30. Right now, SpaceX isn't just being valued as a space or internet company. It's being valued as a hypergrowth tech giant at the intersection of spaceflight, Starlink communications, and artificial intelligence. The problem is that the company's primary profitable segment right now is Starlink Internet, but all of Starlink's profits are currently being dumped straight into subsidizing the development of the Starship Heavy rocket, and into buying massive amounts of hardware and chips for AI. And anyone investing in this needs to understand, Musk is building the infrastructure of the future, and he's selling the dream of trillion-dollar revenues by 2030. So the question isn't whether or not he's lying. The real question is, will these giant investments into AI and Starship pay off before the company's financial reserves run out? And even if SpaceX decides to grow, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to reach even 4 or 5 trillion dollars. That's only a 2 to 3 times multiple. And look, don't expect any dividends either. Any optimistic claims they make could very well just be the simplest scam out there. Thanks for watching.